Hi, boys and girls. This is Miss Kathy. We're in the middle of the Christmas season, and we thought we'd bring you some stories from Guide's Greatest Christmas Stories. After the Christmas season, we'll be returning to our regularly scheduled shoebox mystery books. Christmas is a special time of year, a time to celebrate the birth of baby Jesus, who was born in a stable. Shepherds, after being serenaded by angels, rushed over to find the baby lying in a manger. Wise men, carrying gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh, followed a bright star until it led them to the baby king. What about you? Will this Christmas bring you closer to Jesus? I hope so, and I hope that the Jesus of Christmas will live in your heart throughout the year. Helen Lee Robinson, Editor. A Truce for Christmas by James H. Jauncey. Christmas Eve 1917 came during World War I. In France, armies of millions of men faced each other in a hopeless stalemate. They lived in cold, muddy trenches in the ground, the Germans and the Allies in parallel lines with a few hundred feet of barbed wire and no man's land between them. Each side pounded the other with millions of pounds of artillery shells and sometimes poison gas. Tens of thousands were being wounded and killed. As the night drew on toward Christmas, the men thought longingly of Christmas at home. Their homesickness made them hate the frightful war all the more. It seemed so terribly sinful compared to Christmas. Suddenly at 10:30 p.m. exactly, the German artillery stopped firing. The Allied soldiers wondered what could be going on. What were the Germans up to now? Were they going to use poison gas again, or was this the lull before an all-out attack? Not long after that, the Allied guns in the rear fell silent. The men in the trenches waited anxiously in the strange quiet that settled over the front. Then the incredible news came through. The German High Command had asked for a truce for Christmas. At 10 minutes before midnight, bugles sounded the ceasefire. The truce was official. From both sides, flares lit up the black night. The Allied soldiers watched as the Germans clambered out of their trenches without weapons of any kind. They stopped on the banks of dirt and took off their helmets. Then someone started singing, "Silent Night, Holy Night." In a kind of awe, the Allied soldiers came out of their trenches and joined in singing the lovely Christmas hymn. Even before the song was over, engineers from both sides were attacking the barbed wire. Moments later, men who had been enemies poured through the gaping holes. Hands outstretched, they greeted one another like long-lost friends. Whenever possible, interpreters helped out, but language didn't seem to matter. They showed one another photographs of loved ones at home. They tried on one another's hats and tunics and laughed at the way they looked. Then someone suggested that there should be presents, so they scuttled back to the trenches to see what they could find. The Allies produced cans of jam and beef. The Germans brought great long sausages. Chaplains on both sides arranged services. German and Allied soldiers celebrated communion together. Then they joined hands and sang, "Blessed be the tie that binds." Nobody wanted to sleep that night. The happy fellowship continued after the day broke and through the morning. Just before noon, snow began to fall and the men had to head for cover in their trenches. Moments later, the artillery moved into action, and once more the awful gunfire began. The truce hadn't lasted long, just 12 quiet hours in 4 years of bloodshed, but it gave the world a fleeting glimpse of what a paradise this world could be if men would only heed the Prince of Peace, the Christ of Christmas.
The story you have heard today is from Guide's Greatest Christmas Stories, a compilation from various writers for Guide magazine, edited by Helen Lee Robinson and used with permission from the Pacific Press Publishing Association. As our special gift to you, we will be sharing one of these stories every day between now and Christmas. If you're interested in any other books published by the Seventh-day Adventist Church, please visit AdventistBookCenter.com or call 1-800-765-6955.
This podcast is a production of the Carolina Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.